Good news to the afflicted. A word of hope in COVID-19 time from a guy called Jesus. This is Paul Lennon, your Irish-born American citizen, Mexican, Guatemalan. This evening, greetings to all. What can a barely believing Christian offer to the world in COVID-19 time amid so much suffering? What can he find in his faith that can make sense and can help at a time like this? I have only Jesus. His life, his words, his spirit. I hope to talk about him maybe in a slightly different way than your regular priest or pastor. I have only Jesus, his life, his words, and his spirit. Take me or leave me. Take him or leave him. If you're not interested in the theme, you will probably stop here. I do have a lot of 1-minute readers for my tapes. But you might be curious about what this old fogey has to say. Old fogey and former priest. I have been thinking about Jesus since 1961, when I entered seminary or novitiate at the age of 17. Suddenly, on entering that strange environment, far from family, friends, and homeland, where the rules were so severely controlling, where I was not allowed to think for myself, have friends, or feel human affection, I had what I thought at the time was a crisis of faith. My vanity and the Catholic cult I was recruited into might have made me think I was experiencing St. John of the Cross's dark night of the soul. After all, I was in the inhospitable heart of Castile, the land of the great Spanish mystics. But no, I was suffering from affective deprivation disorder. The harsh, repressive regime created feelings of isolation, insufficiency, inadequacy, sadness, and confusion. Anyway, despite it all, I took to the study of the person of Jesus Christ with a passion. After all, I was in the holy novitiate. I was going to be a priest and missionary. As I found it so hard to believe in him, but wanted to believe, I devoted great energy to his study. I became obsessed and sought to get to the bottom of this historical figure, beginning by asking myself whether he was, in fact, an historical figure. Many years later, and still on my quest, I found an echo in the title of a booklet called A Certain Jesus by the French Dominican Besnard, Albert Marie Besnard. I may have read it in Spanish, Un tal Jesús, which I can provocatively translate now as a guy called Jesus, a certain Jesus. And I believe that this is the root of my faith, and it may be the root of other people's faith. It's just this certain curiosity about who was this person, this certain Jesus. My faith in Jesus of Nazareth was the opposite to what most Catholics believe in their blind faith, where we just take a leap of faith and begin at the top with Jesus Christ, Son of God, and all the dogmas attached to it, and the hypostatic nature or something. Forgive me. Two natures in one, and all that kind of thing. One person. Wrap your brain around that. I instead started with the carpenter's son from Nazareth and taking it from there, following the Gospels. I'm sure I studied the historicity of the Gospels at some stage of my quest. But going back to today's quest and question, in the Gospel of Luke, we find Jesus beginning his ministry at the age of about 30. Forget those neat numbers of at the age of 30, 3 years of ministry, and then dying at the neat age of 33. I can be very disrespectful, forgive me. We like numbers. I say, for my part, when Jesus was no longer a boy or a youth and became a maturing adult, at the death of his cousin John the Baptizer, he went into the desert and was tested by the evil one. He survived the temptation of seeking pleasure, fame, and fortune, power, ambition for himself, and chose to follow the Spirit. I quote, Jesus, with the power of the Spirit in him, returned to Galilee, and his reputation spread throughout the countryside. He taught in their synagogues, and everyone glorified him. I hate this. Everyone admired him. He came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath, as he usually did. He was a good Jewish person. He stood up to read. Privileged he was. And they handed him the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. Unrolling the scroll, he found the place. Now, he chose the place. He found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, for he has anointed me to bring the good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives, sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, to proclaim a year of favor from the Lord." He then rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the assistant, and sat down. And all eyes in the synagogue were fixed on him. Then he began to speak. This text is being fulfilled today, even while you are listening. To console the afflicted, and humanity is afflicted by COVID-19 now. Jesus proclaims that this consoling the afflicted is part of his mission. He spent 30 months, scarcely, but full, trying to open humanity to this good news. The Son is here, as Handel's Messiah sings, to transmit his Father's compassion for humanity. Not, however, as we would wish today, to suspend natural laws of illness, disease, and death. Our human plight will not be changed, but to share in the plight, in the suffering, and accompany us in it and through it. Christian does not go over suffering or under suffering. He goes through suffering, through the gate, which is narrow, painful, to lighten our burden. Perhaps if we are open, like he was to the Spirit, to our soul, to our inner strength, we will experience the difference. Even the not too tender evangelist Matthew, the tax gatherer, gathered the following saying from Jesus: "Come to me, all you who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest. Shoulder my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle." I don't rebel against sufferings. Gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Yes, my yoke, my friendship is easy, and my burden light. Peace and well-being, as Francis says, pasi bien. Peace and well-being during this holy season. All Lennon.